So Adam wants to identify when the wick of a candlestick crosses some kind of moving average. So an EMA, for example. All right, yeah, that'd be easy to do. So what we're going to use is the crossover solver, right? So what is the wick of a candlestick? Well, it's either the high price of the bar or the low price of the bar. So what you're looking for is when the high prices cross your moving average, or when the low prices cross your moving average, right? So let's connect that up. So we're looking for either the high or the low to cross over EMA, and I think it's 55 period is what I got. Yeah, 55 period. All right. So input A, that's going to be price. So we're going to change the type to price. And now you have to decide, well, you know, which crossover do you want to see? Do you want to see when the high price crosses up, or do you want to see when the high price crosses down? So in this example, I'll just say when the high price crosses up, right? So crossing up is normally going to generate a long, right, a long cross up. So when something crosses up, it usually generates a long output. So for the long here, I'm going to set this to the high price. And for the shorts, I'm going to set this to the low price. And then input B, well, that'll just be our EMA. There we go. There's our EMA. Set it to 55. And there we have it. So if we look at these, right, whenever that high price crosses up, we're getting a long output. Yeah, but when the high crosses down, there is no short output on the high crossing down. You know, at least not using just one single solver, right? So if I want to see when the high crosses up and down, then I'll need two solvers, right? So one solver would be set to the high price for both the long and the short. And then the second crossover solver would be set to the low price. So if you wanted to see when the low wick crosses down and also crosses up, you would need a second crossover solver to see that as well. So, but for here, right, we just have the high crossing up and when the low crosses down. You know, and if you wanted to reverse that, then we can just reverse the inputs here, right? So now when the high crosses down, we're seeing the high price is crossing down, right? And then we're seeing the low price crossing up over the moving average, right? So depending on what you want to see, depends on how you have the inputs set up, right? So I'll just set this back to there, like that, and like that. There. All right, pretty straightforward there. All right, yeah, so Adam's just saying he's usually looking at Renko bars, yeah, with large wicks for pullbacks. All right, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so, all right, yeah, so if you're using this in a pullback situation, well, let's see here. Yeah, then, yeah, so maybe when you're getting these long wicks on a Renko bar, yeah, you probably want to see a long output here when, so if a low wick penetrates your moving average, you probably want to see a long output telling you that there's a deep pullback. So in that situation, so in that situation, you probably don't want to do this. So right? So if I reverse my input prices here, right, we're getting the long output that you probably want to see when the wick of a Renko bar, right, breaks down through your moving average. But you probably want to see that long signal on the bar that has the wick, right, that breaks through, or that pierces the EMA, right? So we can see here, right, this signal is one bar late. Right. So let's put this back. And I'm going to put my outputs back. So I'm getting a short signal on the actual bar, you know, where the wick penetrates the moving average. But if you want to reverse this to a long, then what we're going to do is change the output setting. And, oh, no, actually, no, all right, that was not doing what I was expecting. All right, so we're going to leave the output alone, leave it the way it was, and we will just have to use a long short modifier. Right? We'll just use a long short modifier like that. And we're just going to use the default swap mode. So we don't have to change anything on the long short modifier. No changes necessary. And what this is doing is we're using the swap mode like so. And now we can see the output, right, was reversed from long to, or it was reversed from short to long. So there you go. So when you're getting your Renko bars are going down and you get, right, an upper wick punching through above your moving average, you're getting a short output. So that is probably my guess is what you want there. So when the wick crosses that, you may. Oh, so okay. So here's another. So this is kind of important, guys, why including all the detailed information is important. So here's a very subtle difference. So Adam wants to see the wick crossover signal in real time, right? So he doesn't want to wait for the bar to close. He wants to see that. Yeah, so as soon as price, yeah, crosses that EMA, he wants to see that in real time. Yeah, all right, so to do that, you have to go into your indicator settings, right? So we're going to go to BloodHound down here, and you need to change the calculate setting, right? This NinjaTrader calculate setting, right? So this is a NinjaTrader setting here, and just change that to on price changed. Yeah, put your calculate mode to on price changed, and then you'll see the signals in real time here. And let's see, what data feed do I have here? Well, we'll see if we can get the market to work with us here. There we go. All right. So we had a signal there. Now, all right. So being on Renko bars, yeah, we can actually see that. Let's see. Yeah, we're getting this long output here, so we want to filter this out. So let's see, how can we do that? Yeah, I'm thinking we can, yeah, just use a bar direction solver here. And grab an AND node. Like so. But because this is running in real time, right, you can't look, you don't want to be looking at the bar direction of the bar that's building, right? Because just imagine, right, when this bar was building, when price was pulling back, this was actually a down-facing bar, right? The bar was facing downward. So you actually want to look at the bar previous. So you want to actually look at the closed bar there. Yeah, you want to be looking at the closed bar, just as simple as that. So, all right. All right, let's see if the market's going to work with us here. All right, so maybe if the market pulls back a little bit, come on, we just need one more tick here. There we go, bingo. So there was our short signal. Yeah. And there we go. I just adjusted my EMA so it works in real time. Yeah. Now the other thing is, yeah, so yeah, if you only want the wick, let's see here. Yeah, so if you're only wanting to identify when the wick is touching on Renko bars, let's see here. Yeah, so again, it comes down to the details of everything. So this system, right, is using a crossover solver. So what that means is that so the high price must cross down. So in other words, the high of the bar must be below the EMA first, right? So on this first bar, you won't be able to get any signals on this first bar here, right? Because basically the high is above the EMA going back. So if there is a wick, yeah, so let's just draw an imaginary wick on here, right? So if there is a wick on here, yeah, there we go. All right, so if we do have a wick on this bar, right, the high goes from here over to here, right? So there is no crossover, right? So it's only going to work using a crossover solver, only works on the second bar. I swear. I really don't like how the drawing tools behave on NinjaTrader 8. It's such a pain in the butt sometimes. All right, there we go. There. All right, that's hopefully a little more manageable. And yeah, let's see, and we get this problem too. All right, there we go. So on this bar where my cursor's at, right, the high price is below it. So on the next bar, when the high price, breaks through the EMA, now we actually have a crossover, right? So you can see the white line is connecting the high prices. So we now actually have a technical crossover. So on this first bar, we can see that we would never get a signal here if we're using a crossover, right? So maybe this isn't going to work. Again, it all comes down to the details of what you're looking for. So we might have to abandon the crossover solution, which is a real easy, simple solution. And you might actually have to just look at individual prices, such as the open price and the high price, or in a long situation here, you might have to look at the open and the low price, right? So, all right, so let me take a look at the Q&A window and see if there's any additional information provided for me. All right, well, I'm not getting any more feedback from Adam, so maybe this will work for him. So, you know, if you are looking for, yeah, basically a Renko-based, you know, pullback detection to a moving average. All right, so basically, when you're wanting to work with wicks, well, you have to identify, well, what is a wick? Well, if it's a lower wick, then you're working with the open price to the low price, right? So we need to identify when the open price is above the EMA and the low price is below the EMA, right? And then if it's a down or an uptrend, let's see if we have some uptrend wicks. There we go. And so if it's an uptrend, right, then you're dealing with the open price. Looking for a downtrend, right? That's the uptrend. Let's see if we have any downtrend wicks. There we go. Yeah, so but if it's a downtrending bar, then we're dealing with the open to the high price, right? So there's the two prices that, you know, create a wick. So let's build the solvers, you know, that are looking at the open to the low or the open to the high. So what we need is comparison solvers. So I'm going to grab a couple of comparison solvers here. All right, so this first solver, I'm just going to look at the open price, compare the open price to the moving average, right? So is our open price above the moving average or is it below it, right? So we know that if the open is above the moving average, well, actually, yeah, let's see here. Yeah, if the open is above the moving average, then we're going to be looking for long signals, right? So obviously on these down bars, the open is above the moving average, but these are down bars, so you know, we wouldn't be looking for a short signal from a wick, right? Because the open's above. So if the open price is above, then yeah, we're only interested in long signals because the open has to be above the EMA in order for a wick to come down and touch it, and vice versa. So if the open needs to be below the moving average to look for a short signal, right? So if we have down bars, the open needs to be below it to have a wick that comes up and touches the EMA. So we're going to use the open price for input A. There we go. Let's set our prices to the open, like so. Then input B, that will be the EMA. And I'll set this to the 55 as I have it on my chart. So, all right, there we go. All right, so far, it's just telling us, whether we're potentially looking for a long or a short situation there. All right, so now the next comparison solver is going to be looking at the low and the high of the bar. So if we're looking for a long signal, then we're using the low price of the bar, right? So a low for a long pullback and the high price for a short pullback. All right, so our price is, let's see, so for long, we're looking for the low price. For short, we're looking at the high price. And so now we need to reverse our outputs here, right? So you'll notice for long, it says A greater than B, right? So what's A? A is the low price. Well, no, the low price is not greater than B. Remember, B is the indicator, our moving average. So the low price is less than the moving average, right? So A is less than B. when we're looking for a long signal here. So we need to reverse this. And so we're just going to reverse the short outputs as well. There. All right. So if the low price, let's see here. Oh, there we go. I didn't put B in. So sorry, let's go back to input B and make sure that's the EMA 15. Again, starting to move so quickly that I'm overlooking settings here. There we go. So there we go. So we can see here when these wicks, the low price, right, is below our moving average, we're getting a long output here. You know, and of course on a down bar, right, if the low of the down bars are below the moving average, we're going to get a long output as well. But that's okay. You know, these down bars are going to get filtered out once we're done building the system. So next step, we're going to use an ANT node, do something like that. And one last thing here. Let's see. Let's see. I'm going to grab that bar direction. So remember, I had built this bar direction previously. And it is basically looking at the bar, one bar back. So using these brackets is basically a programming terminology with NinjaScript. So if you see like a bracket 1, that means you're looking at the bar, one bar back, right? You're looking at data that's one bar back, right? So we have this start bars that go, yeah, set to 1, meaning we're looking at one bar back. So if I connect that in there, there we go. Let's see. Actually, yeah, that would be correct. Yep, that would be correct. So remember, in real time, you don't know that this bar is going to reverse. So in real time, when these reversal bars are generated, you know, it's going to look like, oh, price pulled back to my EMA, and then it might reverse and go back down again, right? So yeah, so every once in a while, these reversal bars might be identified. You know, they may look incorrect, but you got to think that this is a system designed to work in real time. So in real time, right, it would look like price just pulled back to the EMA, and then maybe it's going to reverse again. So yeah, so there we go. So let's see. Ah, look at that. Price is almost ready to work with us. All right, so market just needs to move down a little bit more. Come on, just a few more ticks. Yeah, maybe we'll get lucky here. Well, there, let me try another instrument. Oh, actually, maybe not. There we go. All right, come on. Let's see if we can get a pullback here. There we go. Bingo. All right, there's a little pullback, a short signal in real time. And you never know, this might end up being a reversal bar, of course, but price also might move back down. No, there we go. So no, price actually just reversed. So, but there you go. We got to see that working in real time there. All right, so again, just to kind of summarize here, the first thing that we need to do is go into the indicators. And if you want, right, if you want your indicators to operate in real time, remember, you need to change this NinjaTrader setting called calculate, right? So set the calculate to on price change. And then that allows BloodHound to operate in real time. So, and then the system is, you know, we're looking at the open price, and then we're looking at the low or the high price of the bar, right, to find these two, so that we're working with the wick prices. And then also, just to remove, signals when the bar is facing the wrong direction, we have this bar direction solver that looks at the previous bar and makes sure that the previous bar was pointing in the right direction for the pullback there. So, oh, and there we go. While I was talking, we had another pullback there in real time. It's too bad I missed that one, but yeah. Okay, so there you go, Adam. There is a clean, nice clean version, no filtering going on, just looking at the raw wicks, touching some kind of moving average there. Okay, well, that was Adam's question.